Okay. All right. So today is day 3 of Ascend, the virtual event for spiritual entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs, soul-led business owners, or if you are a spiritually curious female entrepreneur. I'm super excited you're here for day 3, whether you have been catching up on the replays or you've been here all 3 days, or maybe you're watching the replay now. I am excited you're here. I want to just remember what it is to be a soulpreneur and why we're all here. It is an entrepreneur who is combining the divine feminine and their spiritual gifts with the divine masculine so that you can take inspired action and build a soul-led business to support more people and raise the vibration of the planet. I really want to stress the importance of, if you are here on the planet now and you are feeling called to share something, feeling called to serve in a certain way, feeling called to create in a certain way to support people, to support the planet, there is a reason for that. And if you're on this call, there's a reason for that. And at the end of the day, we are here to build soul-led, freedom-based businesses free of hustle, free of worry and overwhelm, unplugging from the patriarchy and the matrix of hustle that oftentimes entrepreneurship and business has kind of been lumped into. Like, business needs to be hard. It needs to be like you got to grit down and bear it. And after being in business for 3.5 years, I realized it does not need to be that way. Also, when we come together in even if it's a virtual space, because everything is energy, it does not matter that I know we're not like in a physical room together. Being in a virtual room together is just as important, and together we can rise. And with the Akashic Records open today, I want you to know that the ancestors, masters, teachers, and loved ones and guardians of the records are with us. And they are here rooting for our greatest success. So whether you are here live or you're watching the replay, I sincerely thank you for being here. Briefly, if you're here on day 3, you've likely seen a replay or two, but I'm Maria Service. I'm a quantum past life healer. I do subconscious reprogramming using the technique called theta healing, which I'm going to talk a little bit about today. I channel messages from the Akashic Records as well as do healings in the records. And then I have a podcast called Awaken Your Higher Self. All right, so if you have a pen and paper, I want you to take a moment to set an intention for why you are here right now in this moment, time and space with me. Again, whether it's live or whether you're doing this with me watching the replay, your time is valuable. And I always want you to be intentional about where you're placing your time and where you're being present to. So I want you to ask yourself, what are you ready to awaken to? And as you begin to awaken and see your full light being, light body self, I want you to ask, what comes next? Because the thing is, it is normal. It is very human and survival brain mode like to walk out of a room, virtual or in person, whatever it is, and be like, oh, that was great. And then we go back to like our normal day-to-day hustle and bustle busyness of life. That's normal because that's our habit and that's our routine, and our brain loves habits and routines. But when you come out of a room where you feel like you've been able to expand and see more of your light, you need to ask yourself, am I going to keep getting brighter, or am I going to go back to dimming myself? And I really want you to know this question really has nothing to do with whether you join Higher Self Awakening or not. I absolutely would love to invite you into Higher Self Awakening. I know the quantum leaps that can happen in this group container. And regardless of that, what I will say is your higher self, your own intuition and inner wisdom already knows what's next. So I just want you to take a moment, and I will be quiet, and I want you to silently ask yourself, what is next for you? What now? What might you do after attending or experiencing something like this to allow your light, your inner light, to get brighter and not dim, not dim it, not get dimmer? So take a moment and just reflect on what that looks like for you, or what that might look like. Again, there is no like, oh, I have to choose the right answer, or I got to get this right. Just feel into what that might look like. So I'll just give you a moment. Okay. You might still be writing down, you might be reflecting, but I will move on to the next slide. And really today is kind of about tying all of these different pieces together that we have walked through from day 1 to day 2 to today. And I want to just reflect on what's been happening in this container over the last 3 days, and where it's been happening, and what we've been tapping into. So I have mentioned that the Akashic records are open, but what I want you to remember is that the Akashic records is not like some far off distant place. Like, it's not like, I don't know, our brain will try to make sense of things by relating it to things it already knows. But when I say that, the Akashic records are open and we're in the Akashic records, I just want to remind you, and I'm really like reminding your mind, that it's not like we're going way over here to Sweden or over to Africa or over to Australia or wherever over there is. The Akashic records is right here, and it is always right around you. So the best way I can kind of explain the energy that we're in is I took an excellent theta healing certification course just this last January, and the founder is Viana Steibel, or Viana Stabile, and she channeled this like beautiful information about the planes of existence. And this has like, there are different versions of this that have existed from other people who have also channeled various information about the different planes and the different levels. And what it comes down to is everything is happening all right now, but it comes down to what is like, how fast, what is the frequency that things are vibrating at. Okay, so on the first plane of existence, we have like the material matter around us, rocks and earth. On the second plane of existence, we have trees, plants. It's also kind of like the fairy realm, where fairies are, elementals, things like that. On the third plane here, 3D, I mean, that's why it's called 3D, we have ourselves, humans and animals. The fourth plane of existence, that is where a soul will go right upon after passing. That's kind of what we often think of as the spirit realm, being in the 4D. So that's where we can channel spirit guides, recently passed loved ones. Then we go up to the fifth plane, and that is going to be the angelic realm, the high vibrational spirit guides, the ascended masters. It's the archangels. It is ultimately, it's the ascended masters that are then the guardians of the Akashic records, which is on the sixth plane. And all of this to say that that's all happening right now. It's just happening at different levels of frequency, and oftentimes what we're not tuning into, but it's all here. And when we tap into the energetic blueprint of all that is, it allows us to channel more clear information. Now, I say that, that I'm going to loop back around to that, but I just wanted to kind of re-describe just that beauty of being able to tap into the records, especially to support your highest healing. And then I'm going to take a moment that I want you to reflect on your own journey. I want you to consider your own journey and why you're here and what led you to this very moment right now. So as I shared on day one, I have been through a lot of different seasons of my life, many of them where I was either dimming my own light, not being willing to see myself as I truly was, not being courageous enough to want to see the dark and the shadows, and doing some of the healing work around painful times in my life. And I thought that if I just kept busy and if I just kept going and doing things and achieving things, that I could just keep avoiding doing the deeper work, until I found myself in a place where I was unhappy. I was in a career that I did not feel aligned with. And I mean, it was a strong feeling at the time, but I hated what I was doing. And I knew that I couldn't keep living my life like that. And I also know that there's a reason why I had this windy journey to get to where I am and what I'm doing now to lead me to this very moment. And so for a second, I want you to reflect on your journey and why you're here. And that question is a big question. I mean that from the standpoint of like, what made you be in this room, in this virtual room here with me today, watching the replay, but also why does it feel like you're here? And what led you to this very moment? Because we can oftentimes spend so much time in the hustle and bustle and go, 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 that we don't think about like what really got me here and what's going to get me to where I'm going and where do I want to go. So think about that. And then there was a few messages that they wanted me to just channel in and remind you of. So your higher self and your high vibrational guides are always trying to communicate with you. Okay. And too often we are busy. We are busy in the day to day. We are busy figuring out, what do I need to do next? What has to get done? Or worrying about what I didn't get done today, or feeling overwhelmed by all that needs to happen. Or another one I think that can be common is this trap of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I need to do. I don't know what comes next. I don't know what my next step is. All of that is your ego. I don't know is your ego just saying, well, if we just say, I don't know, we can stay right where we are and we can stay safe. But you need to remember that ego is operating out of survival and safety. It is the most primitive part of our brain. And while necessary, it is necessary, okay? I'm not one to say like, we just need to get rid of our ego. We just need to banish the ego. That's not how it works. As a species, we do need to survive, but we do not want ego in the driver's seat. So if we take some time to set aside and remember that our ego is a part of us, but we don't want it in the driver's seat, we can start to then tune into, as I mentioned, your guides are always trying to communicate with you. Your higher self is always trying to communicate with you. They're consistently trying to, set up opportunities, set up these different synchronicities in your life to like, so that this happens, and this happens, all to get you, for example, here in this room for a reason. You're here for a reason. Or they're closing some doors that are no longer serving you, like close, close, close. We need to shut those out, or at least we're going to try to, so that we can open all these other things. But we can also, again, we have free will. As humans, we have free will. And so they can't force us. They can't force our hand. So sure, we can keep ignoring it, or we can listen. We can get courageous and listen and walk through the doors and peer through the windows and the opportunities. At the end of the day, we always have free choice. But what will you choose? And how will you be intentional about it? And next, we have to ask ourselves, are you willing to release the fear? So it's been interesting because in the work, either on a personal level that I've done for myself over the last couple of years, and then also in the work that I've been doing with women, especially in the last 2 years, I found that while sometimes I know we hear a lot about like many women are like afraid of failure, like I don't want to fail. I like, like I'm afraid of failure. Okay. But what's been really surprising in my own journey and with others is that it is more about a fear of what happens when it all works out, a fear of what happens when everything that I ever wanted and desired is here, a fear of actually seeing yourself step into your full power. That has been a very real fear, oftentimes because for the longest time we have been dimming our light for so long that it starts to feel safe. It feels safer to just be smaller. So I'm going to ask you, are you willing to release the fear of truly seeing yourself as you really are? And are you willing to step into your full personal power? For far too long, women have been disconnected from their intuition, or we've been told that intuition is like a soft skill, right? Like it's just like, okay, that's just like you're trusting your gut. What's that? That's not logic. That's not reason. So it's been conditioned out of us to not trust our intuition, to not lean into our spiritual gifts, to not lean into the inner wisdom. But instead, we actually want to go back to replacing intuition for logic and surrendering into the divine. We need to start letting go of this grip of control that we think we have that's really being driven by fear. Now, on day one, we spent some time kind of rating and sitting with and doing this self reflection on intuition. So I want you to either, if you like have a notebook where you've been writing down some notes going through this 3-day series with me, so maybe you can pull up those notes again, or just I want you to take a moment to check in with where you're at now with your intuition. And it's just like, again, kind of assessing like how often are you currently receiving intuitive information, downloads? How often are you like sitting to receive intuitive messages? Is that happening daily, weekly, monthly, or is it pretty sporadic? Next, we want to ask on a scale of 0 to 5, how likely are you to trust your intuition, even if it maybe goes against logic and your comfort zone? 0 would be, I don't trust it at all. Like I might get information and I like completely disregard it. 1, like I trust it a little bit. 5 is like I fully trust it. When I receive something, I trust it as truth. And then the third component of intuition is how often do you act on it? Because we can even look at it and be like, no, this feels like truth. I trust that. And then there can still be these blocks up of like, oh, but I don't have time for that. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, like, then logic and doubt and all these other things come in from the mind chatter. And so then we're not always acting on the intuitive information. We're not always taking inspired action. And so just thinking, how often are you currently really acting on that intuitive information? Because as I mentioned on day one, intuition is not just like, oh, I have it or I don't, or oh, my intuition's just on or it's off. That's not how it works. That intuition is just this full, I don't know, kind of like gray scale area that's like, am I receiving it? Am I slowing down enough to receive this information? Do I trust this information and do I act on it? And what I want you to know is that all of this can shift. Now, what I will say is that I am not very artistic. And so I pulled a couple of things that I use inside Higher Self Awakening to begin to share a little bit more about the program, but also share on a few concepts. So this is something that I created that I just created in Paint. All right. But it's a reminder. So, like, 2 or 3 months ago. It was shortly after, well, gosh, I'm kind of getting time mixed up a little bit here, but in April, I had done a launch and nobody joined and 0 sales. And I thought I was on the right track, but honestly, deep down, there was like a sigh of relief because I also kind of knew, no, that wasn't quite right. And I got quiet and I kind of channeled in at that point, like what it was that I was supposed to put out in the world. And that was creating this program, Higher Self Awakening, which had its first run in June. And during that time, there was a message that came through when I was meditating in the Akashic Records. And it was that you are divinely held, supported, divinely led at all times. And this image kind of came to mind. So this is to remember that you are a spark of the divine and you are always 365 degrees supported, guided, held, and led. Okay. So in this photo, there is you as this interesting kind of stick figure self. Okay. And so if anybody here has done or heard of IFS, internal family system parts work, in IFS, it's like a form of therapy. I'm trying to remember who the founder was or who the creator was. But anyways, he talks about how internally we have different parts of ourselves, kind of different parts of our mind, part of our being. And so that can be like our ego, our inner child, our doubt or our inner critic, our playful part, whatever you want to label your parts. We are kind of made up of these different aspects of ourself that can make up our mind chatter and our mind chaos, shall we call it. But then at the center of our heart, we have our highest self. Now, in internal family systems, in IFS therapy, or in a lot of traditional therapy, they'll often call this like our wise self, connecting into our wise self. But from a spiritual sense, it's like also tapping into our higher self, our soul essence. And that's at the seat of our heart, in our heart space. So we have that. And the goal is to get that part of ourself in the driver's seat. It is everything of who we are. And it's this part that has that little heart around it that is divinely connected to everything else. So our soul self knows that we are deeply connected to the earth, to Mother Earth, and to the elementals and the fairies, and the elementals and the beings kind of below us. I mean, figuratively below us, not really below us, but we're also divinely connected to that fourth plane of our spirit guides, past loved ones, guardian angels, and guides. We also have that connection with the fifth plane, the ascended masters, teachers, loved ones, high vibrational light beings. And then we also have this connection to source, or whatever you want to call that divine being, to the divine, to universe, God, whatever you want to assign that. So our soul self, that's why we want that part of ourselves in the driver's seat of who we are and where we are in time and space, is because it's always connected to everything. And that does not mean that we banish and get rid of the other parts of ourselves, right? So we still have our ego, we still have our inner child, we can still have our inner critic come up. So we need to also accept, honor, send compassion and love to these human aspects of ourselves, oftentimes really just past versions of ourselves that are stuck in different periods of time. But when we begin to see that interconnectedness, you can see why we want higher self in the driver's seat. Okay. All right, I'm going to check how I'm doing on time. We're doing good. Okay, so I'm going to share then a little bit about how Higher Self Awakening, how I've structured the program to help women overcome some of the blocks that we talked about on day 2. The blocks of why you're not feeling like you can fully tap into and connect with your intuition, or why you maybe feel like you're not safe, or you just don't know why you can't act on your intuitive information. Whatever it is, I'm going to share a little bit about how we kind of work through those blocks. So one of the biggest things when I was channeling this program, because I'll be honest, for the longest time, I've said to myself, I'm not an intuition coach. Like, I'm not an intuition teacher. That didn't feel right. And now I understand why. Because this container, higher self awakening, is not just a how to. It's not me telling you how to tap into your intuition. When I was channeling this course, what the guardians were saying is it's not a how. It's not a matter of how do I connect with my intuition. For many women, it's actually going to be I need to heal. I need to heal so that I can tap into my intuition and other spiritual gifts fully. So that is the main component of what higher self awakening is. It is a group container where we do the healing on reprogramming old beliefs. We heal from past traumas, which could be in this life, or if you subscribe to the belief that you've had other incarnations and you have past lives, we heal past life trauma so that you can create a clear channel and flow of intuitive information. So I will say that is the majority and a heavy lifting part of the beginning live calls that we do inside Higher Self Awakening is healing, healing, healing. But then it's also like combining the healing with the humaning. So we are still humans, we are still spiritual beings having a human experience. And so the other part of the program is building spiritual practices to support each woman who joins in receiving and trusting and acting on their clear intuitive information that they're getting. And so when it comes to then the how, like how do I tap into my intuition? How do I receive intuitive information? These are the practices then that I build into in the Higher Self Awakening program. So I will say, oftentimes people focus on just this third one, like, oh, I just need to have an intuitive practice. Like, I just need to know how. I just need to know how, like, tell me what the clairs are. Tell me more about how I can receive intuitive information. You can get really fun into building intuitive practices like what crystal could help me connect to my intuition. Again, there's all these beautiful intuitive practices, but in higher self awakening, I introduce women in the program that like that's just one part of it, a very important part. However, because we are still humaning in a human world, other pieces that need to be a part of receiving intuitive messages is we need to have like a daily grounding or nervous system regulation practice. So when life is lifing and life is happening around you, whether it's because you're picking up on things going on in your environment, you're picking up on maybe people and things that are happening around you, we need to have tools to be able to ground in and regulate our nervous system. Because if we are not doing that, it's going to be very hard to receive intuitive information. Next, we need to have emotional regulation tools or be doing parts work. So something that I found on my own journey and also working with, especially the first cohort of women who went through higher self awakening. And when I was going through an Akashic Records program that I went through, we really need to make sure that we are bringing our inner child and our ego along this journey of healing and spiritual awakening, because it can be really fun to get into all of the woo-woo side of spirituality, intuition, manifestation, all of these beautiful fun things that we can bring into our life and bring into business. And if we aren't also taking the time to sit with our ego and sit with our inner child, they can start to create blocks because they just need to be supported and held and kind of kept up to speed on things. And so in higher self awakening, I am doing different exercises with ego and inner child, just so that they can come along with us, so that they also don't create some kind of block or resistance. And lastly, and part of maybe why you're here, the biggest component, whether you're just joining me for this 3-day experience in Ascend, or whether you decide to continue on in higher self awakening, at the end of the day, it is about blending these two. Yeah. So like, again, there's so many pieces to this, but what I want you to know is that It is time to take back our divine feminine, our divine masculine. So oftentimes what we see in the business world. So I will say I kind of created this slide is kind of that business sense. And what we will see is that from a business sense, we can either see like the toxic masculine in business, like, oh, business is all about power and money and I don't know, like taking over the world. I don't know, right? I'm just saying, like, that's kind of like the old business paradigm. And many of us will recoil to that. Like, that doesn't feel right. Like, no, thank you. I want nothing to be a part of that. You can also come at something kind of from the toxic feminine, to be honest, which is going to be similar. It's like, oh, I just need more and I just need more power and I just need more money. And to be honest, both of the toxic feminine and masculine come from the lie of scarcity. Like, there's not enough. And so I just need to climb to the top of the ladder. When we get really comfortable and safe in our divine feminine and masculine, it allows this beautiful surrender and flow, combining your ability to channel clear intuitive information and have fun and be playful. And also, though, you need to marry that with like actually taking action in the 3D world. So it's about blending the two together. And what I found for women in higher self awakening is that when we do the subconscious reprogramming, when we do the past life healing, because we get all of those shifts in the quantum field across all timelines, it makes this, what I have on this slide, come so much easier. It doesn't feel like work because, quite frankly, your soul essence, your soul being already knows how to do this. It's really the human aspects of ourselves that get caught and stuck in the like, but wait a second, but how? But how do I do this? How does this translate into my messaging? How do I go from here? Right? That's all ego. That's all your mind. And it's a lot of just like continued love and compassion with your human parts. But when we get your ego and your inner child on board, that higher self gets to drive the ship. This all becomes a lot easier. Okay. Yes, my ego definitely keeps trying to put up blocks. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, good, good, good. Yes, I am so excited. I am so excited. So we already have 4 women inside Higher Self Awakening, which I'm so excited about. And I know that like through this week, I am here. I am open to answer questions. If anybody wants to hop on a call and just wants to learn more about the program, I'm super excited. I'm here to answer those questions. These are just a snippet of women who were in the first program. And what I will say is, so there's a page where you can go and read all the testimonials. 2 of these beautiful women already, Terry and Julie, they also recorded a podcast episode with me, just sharing about honestly their spirituality journey, how connecting into their spiritual self has supported their business, as well as their experience inside Higher Self Awakening. So, you can like check all of that out. What I will say, the beauty of this container is that it can really be for wherever you're at on your journey. So I had women in this program who were really new to kind of like the whole spiritual side of things, but they were also sick of doing business from a place of hustle and they were in burnout or nearing burnout. And this was a beautiful expansion for them to just really learn how to drop down and connect to their intuition and trust it. And then ironically, it's like all the way to women who are kind of in the middle of their, I don't know, like their spiritual awakening or their journey of just wanting to do business different to, I want to highlight Terry. Terry is a good friend who I've been connecting with her locally in my community of Minnesota for a while. She's actually an intuition coach and she's a very spiritual person. And I was actually really excited to hear that when she joined Higher Self Awakening, I was like, okay, Terry, I know you already know the how of intuition, but we're really going to like open up the channel. So I will say, and I want to highlight her experience in it was she knew the how. She knew the how of intuition and she had some of her own spiritual practices. However, when she was trying to expand and grow her business, she was seeing that sometimes she either felt like she had to compartmentalize like her, I don't know, like her go, go, go coach consultant side with her spiritual side. from doing the program, not only did she feel like she was able to more fully integrate as her high vibrational spirit self in the driver's seat, but she also got more clear on her offers and her messaging and showing up. Because inside this container, not only are we doing this opening of the intuitive work, but we are also focusing a lot on safety and feeling safe to be seen and heard, and safe to speak up, safe to be loud, so that you can share your message and grow your business. So there have been a lot of beautiful shifts inside the program. And I'm excited, really excited for the fall round to start, which we will start next week. Okay, I'm going to take a moment because there is a message that is wanting to come through. But I will say, I know I've been talking a lot, I've been sharing a lot. I love this work. I love being able to support other women, and it truly makes no difference to me whether you are just here to catch Ascend, because Ascend itself was channeled from the Akashic Records. I knew that I had to bring this message out to more spiritual entrepreneurs, or even just spiritually curious female entrepreneurs, to continue to awaken. And so, again, whether you're just here to be a part of this event or you want to go deeper into higher self awakening, it's been an honor to be with you. And yeah, I'm going to take a moment to let me know in the chat. One, do you have any questions? What are your insights or any like ahas or takeaways that you've had over the last 3 days, or even just from today? Or just give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you are ready and settled in so that I can also channel in this message. So I'll pause. Mm, yeah, yeah. So big aha is that I always felt my intuition, just didn't know what it was before. Yeah. Um, the thing with intuition too is that, and again, like I didn't get into it a ton on this call, but we can receive intuitive information in so many different ways. And what's ironic actually for some of us, again, intuition and how we receive it and trust it and all of that, it happens on a scale. But for some of us, you actually realize that you've had a really strong connection to it all along, but you just didn't know what to call it, and it felt just like another part of yourself that you could easily maybe disregard, right? Like our ego can be pretty strong. And for many of us growing up, I will say we tend to, our egos, that our most primitive survival version of ourselves, really oftentimes can get in the driver's seat because it's like, okay, I just need to get my needs met. Okay. So from a young age, again, it doesn't matter, like, how do I say this? It doesn't matter if like, oh, no, Maria, I had a good childhood, or I didn't have a good childhood, or whatever. But what I want you to know is, as a child, we operate from, I just need to get my needs met. I need to get love. I need to get food, water, shelter, all of those things. And unknowingly, if that means we also make ourselves smaller, or we want to come across as normal and less weird, if it means that we just learn how to dim our light and blend in so we can be more relatable, or whatever that is, like, we don't realize it, but ego has been running the ship for a long time, and it can be operating from these old outdated systems. And so we just need to upgrade it. We just need to upgrade it. Okay, so I am sensing that we are ready. Oops, daisy. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you just relax back so that you can receive. So wherever you are, I want you to find a comfortable, relaxed sitting position. I want you to allow yourself to melt into your chair. Okay, so I really want you to just allow all of your muscles to relax in. And so if you can be in a seat where you have a back, because I like a back to your seat, because I really want you to be able to like melt into your chair, they're saying. And if you feel safe and comfortable, I am going to have you close your eyes and slow your breathing down to a relaxed, comfortable pace. If you'd like, you can inhale through nose and exhale through mouth. Hmm. Okay, and like I said, you guys, it's always so fun. I'm always truly just channeling and like seeing things for the first time with you. And as I kind of get a brief glimpse right now, I'm really excited where we're going with this. So, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to drop down into your heart space. So we talked about this a little bit on, I think it was day 2. I want you to focus in your mind's eye on this area near the tip of your sternum. So if you know the chakras, you're going between your heart chakra and your solar plexus, kind of right in the middle, this sweet spot near the tip of your sternum, kind of like the apex of your diaphragm. And it's there that in your mind's eye, I want you to drop in and send love and compassion to this area. This is the seat of your soul. This is where your higher self resides. This is where your connection to the divine resides. And I want you to breathe compassion and love here. I also want you to know, as you're breathing compassion and love here, that the Akashic records open for each individual that is here live or watching the replay is open. So the group records is open, but your individual Akashic records is open. And I want to invite you to feel the essence of that. So it does not matter that, like your ego's like, well, I don't know what that is, or what is she talking about? Or I've never been trained in that, Maria, or like, I still don't even know if I believe what she's saying, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Okay. I just want you to know the records are open, and I do invite you to feel the essence of what that means. And so, what they're telling me to tell you is in your mind's eye, however you receive intuitive information, I want you to feel your masters, teachers, loved ones, high vibrational light being guides all around you. I want you to imagine that they are surrounding you 365 degrees. And you might see them in your mind's eye. You might feel their presence through your skin, through your bones, through the tingles that are running through your body now. You might just know that they are there. You might hear their warmth and their presence. And right now, they are delivering a cleansing breath to each of us to release and let go of the ego in this moment, time, and space, so that we can greatly remember who we are. So, for this cleansing breath, I want you with mouth open. You're going to take an open mouth inhale, open mouth exhale. Again, open mouth inhale, open mouth exhale. And with that cleansing breath, and you can return your breath back to whatever feels comfortable for you, I want you to note that that was your high vibrational light being team, just allowing ego to get comfortable, to feel safe, but also to let go so that you can let in more of your light. Okay. Next, as you are sitting in the seat of your soul, in your heart space, in your sacred space, I want you to look. Okay, so they're saying it's going to come through a little bit differently for each of you. So just see and sense where you feel it. I want you to look at your light. So what I mean by that is either look in front of you and you will notice this white beaming light, this ball of light in front of you that is like you're looking at your soul essence, or you might be seeing it like in your own mind's eye. You might be, it's like you're looking down and you're looking down at your heart, you're looking down at your body, and you're seeing this glowing white light. So they're just saying each of you will see that differently. Do what feels right. It's either in front of you or it's like you're looking down. But either way, I want you to see, sense, feel, or imagine your glowing white light. This is all of you. And it's like so massive that our mind and our ego can't even comprehend like how great our own power is, how strong our connection to the divine is, how bright we can truly glow when we allow ourselves to. So if you can, I just want you to see it. Okay. And we're going to take 2 big breaths. And with each breath, your light is expanding. So open mouth again, open mouth inhale, open mouth exhale, and the light expands. Again, open mouth inhale, open mouth exhale, and the light expands. And I also want you to trust that whatever is coming up for you right now, it's all fine and well. So you may be noticing exactly what I'm describing, or you might be noticing something else. Just trust and know that your high vibrational light being team is surrounding you. You are guided, you are safe, you are loved, held, and supported, and whatever is coming up is exactly fine and well. Now, the last thing that they want to share with us before we close out day 3 is as you're witnessing your own light and its expansion and how it goes on and on and on, and it is infinite. Each of our power is infinite. And just being in this container in this room together is making it even more infinite and more expansive. And now I need you to see that there are 2 roads, 2 lines, 2 paths that are going to form in front of you. Okay? And it's like you're at a fork in the road. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this call, that we set our intention of what now? What will you do next? What road or path will you take so that your light can keep expanding? Because the alternative is leaving and allowing your light to dim. So you get to choose. Remember, you have free will, you have choice. But you saw how expansive your light is. You saw how infinite your potential is. And there are 2 paths ahead. And what comes next? Do you choose the path where your light can continue to expand? And promise me, that can even look many different ways. So don't get into your head about like, well, how and what does she mean by that? Like, that doesn't matter right now, okay? Infinite possibilities of how your light can expand. But you do need to choose a path of will you choose the path where your light continues to expand, or will you go back to an alternative path where you get dimmer and dimmer and smaller? The choice is yours. So breathe that in, make your choice. They're kind of saying if you want, you can make the choice by like also imagining the 2 paths are like 2 doors, and which door will you go through? And I'm going to leave you with that in that meditation before I bring you back into your body, is which door will you choose? Are you choosing the door where you will continue to brighten your light, or will you choose the door where it will get dimmer? And once you've made that choice, I just need you to take the first step. So in your mind's eye, just imagine you're opening that door, or you're walking that path, or you're taking the first step. And know that whatever will be, all the possibilities are there. Right now, it is not like a how, but how, Maria. That is ego, that is logic. Stay in the space of possibility. And with that, I'm going to ask that you come back into your heart space. You come back into your body. You come back into this moment, time, and space here with me. And you're going to start just wiggling your fingers and your toes. You can start moving your body. You can start stretching and gently open your eyes. And I want to sincerely thank you for joining me for day 1, day 2, day 3, whether you've been here live, whether you've caught the replays. I appreciate you. And I lovingly ask that whether it's with me or not is irrelevant, but I ask that you step into your full light because this world needs it. You matter, your voice matters, and it's time to get loud. So thank you very much. Once again, I will drop the information. Today, the doors are open for Higher Self Awakening. I'm going to stop share on the screen, maybe, if I can figure that out. There we go. Yes, you guys are so welcome. This has been an absolute true joy. This has been so amazing. If anybody wants to share just any ahas, takeaways, what you noticed during that final meditation, I'm just throwing some things in the chat box, whether you want to sign up today. There are some day 1 bonuses, as I mentioned. If you join today on day 1, you can get an extra $200 off the current price. You can also get free access to a bonus healing called Heal the Hustle, which you could start today. And then the first 5 women who join today will also receive a free customized 30-minute Akashic Records soul reading. So feel free to check out the link. Send me any questions that you have. If you have any insights that you want to share in the chat box now or any questions, I will hang out here for another minute or two. I'd love to hear what you guys noticed or felt or experienced. Not weird at all. Not weird at all. I think that's really why I'm like, again, please share. I love these, you guys. Okay, so yeah, so to say, I think I'm being totally reminded that I am a spiritual leader of some kind. Absolutely, absolutely. You guys, it is not a coincidence that you are in this room. If you are in this room, I truly mean it. In that, like, I don't care if you work with me or not. Like, I would love to work with you, but this is more than that. This is bigger than that. It is truly time to get loud. The guardians of the records are like, now is the time, you guys. Now is the time. The planet needs it. We all need it. The collective needs it. We do this not just for ourselves. We do this for others. We do this for our ancestors. Like, the healing goes so much deeper than even just obviously the benefits that I want for you in this human life, but it goes so much deeper than that. Okay, Tisha, I saw 2 paths, one straight and one curving to the right. I was trying to picture going down the path when you said take the first step. I realized that's all I had to do. Yes, when I took the first step onto the curving path, the other path disappeared. Oh, Tisha, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. And actually, there's so many gems in there that what I will say for all of you, depending on what you saw during this, is spend some time sitting with it and journaling with whatever your experience was. Spend some time sitting and journaling and receiving, however, that feels good to you. Because Tisha, there's so much in that. But I want to point out, you said something like, yeah, it's just, you guys, you just have to take the first step. It is our egos that get in the way that say like, oh, but I need like the 50-step plan. Like, tell me, like, how does it look? And what does it look like? And should I do this or that? Like, that's ego. It like ego wants to know, and it gets kind of like nervous and scared. When that comes in, you just need to remind your ego that it no longer is in the driver's seat, that you send it love, you send it compassion, and higher self has got your back. And again, from that image I shared before, like higher self's like, we've got this. Like, because higher self is tapped into Mother Earth and Source and the high vibrational light beings and Akashic records and the fourth plane, and like it just like higher self has your back. You're good. You just need to know the first step. Yes, yes. And Tisha, that's normal. That was me. That was me too. That was me to a T, until I finally surrendered and did the healing. So it's beautiful. I'm so glad that you had that. Every time you say now it's the time to get loud, I get full body chills. Yeah, I love that. And that's it. It truly is, you guys. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're here live, catching the replay, um, yeah, again, it's no coincidence. Please listen to yourself. Please listen to what the next step is for you. And please get brighter. Please brighten your light because this world needs you. All right. This has been a joy. We'll also, maybe I already did that. Did I already stop the recording? Oh, here we go.